Welcome back to BikeBeat. Let's dive even deeper into this motorcycle, because a release like the CB500SF Super Four deserves more than just surface-level coverage. What makes it truly fascinating is not just the return of the inline-four, but the way Honda is using this platform to explore the sweet spot between nostalgia and the demands of modern motorcycling. For decades, Honda's CB series has carried the weight of being not only practical but also aspirational. The CB400SF was a cult classic in Japan and several Asian markets, a machine that earned respect for its smooth delivery, bulletproof reliability, and a sound that riders still reminisce about. By scaling that formula up to a 500 cubic centimeters inline-four in 2026, Honda is making a statement to both older fans who longed for the Super Four and younger riders who may have only read about or seen them in passing. The CB500SF isn't just a motorcycle, it's an attempt at re-establishing a heritage link in Honda's lineup. That heritage is immediately obvious when you look at the design. The polished 4x1 headers spilling out from the right-hand side are not just a technical necessity, they're a deliberate nod to the past. There's something visceral about seeing four pipes bend and flow in unison before curling under the frame. This is the kind of visual cue that pulls at a rider's emotions even before the engine is started. And when that engine fires up, the sound will almost certainly become one of the bike's defining features. A four-cylinder at high revs sings in a way no parallel twin can, and Honda knows this emotional factor is as important as horsepower or torque figures. The seating and ergonomics strike a clever balance. Riders won't feel hunched over like on a supersport, nor will they feel bolt upright as on an adventure bike. Instead, Honda has sculpted a neutral stance, handlebars wide enough for leverage, a seat flat and welcoming, and foot pegs that don't demand contortion. For riders commuting daily, that means comfort. For riders hitting winding back roads, it means a posture that doesn't fight against spirited riding. It's the kind of ergonomics that make you want to ride just one more exit before heading home. Beyond ergonomics, one cannot ignore the sheer technical intrigue of the new e-clutch system. Riders in urban settings will immediately appreciate not having to constantly feather a clutch in traffic. It's also bound to be helpful for new riders still learning the dance of throttle, clutch, and shifter. At the same time, purists get reassurance: the system can be disabled, and the mechanical clutch lever remains fully functional. This duality is clever. Honda is showing respect to both camps of riders while pushing technology forward. Think of it as Honda trying to modernize without alienating the very enthusiasts they're appealing to. The ride modes take the experience further. Sport mode is expected to deliver a sharper throttle response, maximizing the character of that inline-four. Urban mode will likely soften power delivery, making the bike more forgiving and manageable in crowded streets. Rain mode, of course, will dampen responsiveness to reduce wheel slip in wet conditions. Then come the customizable user modes, letting riders tailor the bike to their own preferences. For a retro-inspired naked, this level of electronic flexibility is rare, and it positions the CB500SF as not just a style exercise, but a serious, adaptable machine. Another unique point is the visual minimalism. In an era where many bikes are covered in plastic shrouds and aggressive lines, the CB500SF embraces clean simplicity. The tank isn't cluttered with decals, the frame isn't hidden, the engine is on proud display. This stripped-back honesty connects with riders who want a motorcycle that feels mechanical and raw rather than over-designed. At the same time, details like LED lighting, TFT display, and smartphone connectivity remind you this is very much a modern machine beneath its retro skin. Performance expectations also extend to handling. The use of Showa inverted forks up front and a ProLink monoshock at the rear suggests Honda is aiming for a responsive yet comfortable ride. If tuned correctly, these components will allow both city comfort and backroad precision. Radial mount Nissan brakes up front also indicate a seriousness about stopping power. For a bike expected to touch 200 km per hour, this is not just a luxury, but a necessity. And the aluminum swing arm helps shave weight while adding stability, again a nod to performance-minded engineering. But the magic of this bike may be less about numbers and more about experience. In a world full of parallel twin middleweights, a four-cylinder offers an unmistakable character. The smoothness at higher RPM, the symphonic note from the exhaust, and the sense of refinement when the engine is pushed are qualities that spec sheets can't fully capture. The CB500SF is likely to provide that classic Honda smoothness while being approachable enough not to intimidate. Then there's the question of who this bike is really for. On one hand, it will attract older enthusiasts who remember the CB400SF and want a modern version with more punch. On the other, it's a tempting option for younger riders stepping up from a 300 cubic centimeters or 400 cubic centimeters machine, especially those who want something more unique than another parallel twin. For markets like Japan and parts of Asia, where displacement regulations once made the 400 cubic centimeters class popular, the CB500SF could strike a sweet balance between compliance, performance, and nostalgia. In terms of pricing, while we don't yet have official numbers, positioning will be critical. If Honda prices it closer to entry-level 500 cubic centimeters twins, it becomes an unbeatable value. If they push it too high, it risks competing directly with bikes like the Yamaha MT-07 or Kawasaki Z650, which offer strong parallel twin power and already have established fan bases. That said, the allure of an inline-four, especially one dressed up in Super Four heritage, might justify a premium even at a higher price point. This machine also plays a strategic role for Honda. It bridges the gap between smaller capacity beginner bikes and larger leader class nakeds. Riders who might eventually aspire to a CB1000R or even a Fireblade could find the CB500SF a perfect stepping stone. It's forgiving enough for daily use but engaging enough to sharpen skills before moving up the ladder. What makes the CB500SF particularly exciting is its rarity in today's market. Inline-fours are largely reserved for supersports and leader class machines, while the middleweight segment has been dominated by twins for cost, efficiency, and emissions reasons. Honda reintroducing a mid-capacity inline-four is almost rebellious in this climate, but it also fills a void many riders didn't realize they missed until now. It's a bet that enough riders value sound, smoothness, and character to make the engineering investment worthwhile. Ultimately, the CB500SF Super Four is more than just another middleweight naked. It's Honda showing confidence in its heritage and in the desires of riders. It's a reminder that motorcycling isn't just about efficiency or specs, it's about soul, history, and the visceral joy of riding. Whether you're drawn by the nostalgia of the Super Four badge, the thrill of an inline-four engine, or simply the clean retro-modern look, this bike promises to offer something that many modern motorcycles no longer do, an emotional connection the moment you twist the throttle. And perhaps that's the real story here. Honda isn't just selling a motorcycle with 80 horsepower and advanced electronics. They're selling a feeling, the feeling of riding something that carries the weight of history while pointing towards the future. If the price lands right and the riding experience matches the promise, the CB500SF could very well become one of the most celebrated bikes of its generation, a modern legend in the making.